Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and I love making and sending these embroidered cards. However, my embroidered cards are a little bit different than this, and I call them flat cards. I'll show you why I make them, how I make them, the supplies that I need, and how much fun they are, and I'll show you some of the ones that I have on the works. Of course, to make an embroidered card, we're going to need a machine that does embroidery. Now, I am using a Bernina 790, but you can use any machine at all. And what we normally do is we hoop a piece of stabilizer, like this sticky one. We put the card on top, and then we embroider it. From there, we're going to be able to take that off the hoop, trim off that stabilizer, and then to cover all of that stitching, we need to put some paper or fabric over the back of the card. And that way, when it's opened up, it does look nice. Now we, of course, can do embroidery on a separate paper and put it on top of the card, and that saves us having to put something in the back. Now this does make a beautiful card. However, I do like to give cards that don't have words or a greeting on them. For example, happy birthday. When someone receives a card with some type of a greeting on the front, they're only going to display it for a short while. After that, it needs to be put away. After all, you don't want a happy birthday card 365 days out of the year sitting on your counter. It's definitely going to confuse people when they come over thinking they've missed your birthday. So I like to make cards that look more like little pieces of art. And I call them flat cards. So here's an example of some flat cards that I have made. I still have done the embroidery on the paper with that stabilizer, but in this case, I've colored them in. There is no fold, it's just a card. So I write the message on the back without greetings on the front, other than a greeting that could be used all the time. For example, it's a beautiful day, live, love, laugh. Anything that is not dated, those words are fine. But if this said happy birthday on it, they would have to put that card away. But without, if they wanted to, they could display this as a work of art. And they'll still have the message on the back, but this is able to be displayed longer. So I'll start with an embroidery design, and this one was just standard with my Bernina 790. I've stabilized it, I colored it in. Now I'm going to be able to put it on some type of a cardstock and write the message on the back. Here are two cards. This is how it looks when I start, and because I do not have to line it up exactly, it makes it a lot easier to do on the machine. If I didn't line this one up, it would have been a mistake. Where this, well, I get to trim it down and paint it up if I'd like. So I start with this, I end up with this. I can put it on some type of a cardstock, put my message on the back, and once again, it's a nice piece of art to display. They can be big fun cards, small little personal cards. If you really want, you can do the words on the front. Now there are a few things to keep in mind when we are embroidering on cards. What are we going to embroider on? So this shoe, even though I painted it, you can't really see it. This is the same shoe in black, and the black does work fine as long as you can see that print, or if you want to color it in, that you have some kind of a marking system that will show on top of black. The off-white or neutral color does look really nice. And then it does give you the opportunity to color it in. Patterns that have very thick borders on are lovely. However, a lot of times they will cut through that paper. Even with the stabilizer, I did have to put an extra piece when it was done because it did cut right through that paper. So what we're looking for is a line design, red work design. Of course, any design that's made for cards will work. And choosing the threads can make all the difference in the world. This definitely looks like a cross-stitch pattern, but it would have looked a lot better if it was in one color. The one color, either in red or blue, would look like red work or blue work. So embroidering on some type of a cardstock that has a pattern does not always work great, but it does work great for backgrounds. And a lot of times you're going to be able to put this in the printer and print your message along the back if you don't want to write it. Now, some of the fun tools and things that I like to use, of course, is this beautiful paper and an extra paper to frame it with, and a really nice paper to use if you're going to be painting is watercolor paper. But you do need a paper that's nice and thick so that it won't tear. You're still going to need to stabilize it, but now when you go to color it or paint it in, it will work really well. Not all paper will color in. This has a bit of a plastic coating on it, and you can see that shine, so it doesn't color as well. I have some fun things that we can add these cards onto. Most of these have come from some type of a dollar discount store. This is a photo garland. It has string and clips, and what it is this little sleeve that we're going to be able to put our artwork in. So now not only does that look nice from the front, but it is nice on the back. Colored or not, it still is a nice presentation. So we can get these little window cards that really work well. You can also get wooden squares. So this one I've just painted up, and I'm working on painting that easel. So I will be able to put this piece on. I can still write my message on the back, and now it's a real piece of art. And if you have someone you send cards to all the time, after a while they'll have a nice collection that they're going to be able to change. So the wooden boards are really nice to use. I do make sure I sign them, so I have a thin Sharpie. And to color these in, right now I'm using Crayola washable markers. So I color in that piece that I want, then I take a paintbrush with just water and just blend those colors. So I'll start with a darker color and a lighter color, and that water will blend them together quite nicely. After you color in those cards and wet them, you might find they get a little wonky. So I will press them, and then while they're still hot, put a book over top of them until they cool. And then once they're cooled, they're nice and flat. Now you don't always have to paint them in. Of course, we can use different color threads. I also like to decorate them up a little bit. So you can buy these peel and stick jewels that you can add inside. It gives them some dimension and a little bit of shine. And you can get them all different sizes and all different shapes. Another thing we can do is use old cards. So I received this card in the mail, and they did not write on the back. So I could cut this out, have that thank you message on the back. So this would be finished, glued on. They would have that message, thank you, right along the back. So I'm able to reuse these secondhand cards, and a lot of times with the sayings inside. Craft paper does make good backgrounds, and we can also use photo corners. So that corner piece peels off, and we put those 4 corners inside. And that really looks nice in the corners. There's also different types of tape. Foam dots are a lot of fun to use. So these are 2-sided pieces of foam. And we're going to be able to put those foam dots on the back and stick them down. So that's going to raise it up a little bit, which will give it even more dimension. You can get them in the dots, and you can get big rolls of them. That mounting tape or foam stickers really sticks well on that stabilizer. That backing paper just peels off, and then we just get to stick it on. You can get packages of cardstock, and this one has a bit of a linen look to it. So they're nice and big, they can be trimmed down, and they're good and firm, so that stabilizer and the embroidery does show up nice on those cards. You can get metallic markers, and these metallic markers do write on black. So if I have the black as the background, I can still write on it, and they'll be able to see that message, and it does look really nice. So I've taken that basic embroidery card and have turned them into more of little works of art. So this will definitely be able to be displayed a lot longer than a standard card. So if you like making embroidered cards, this is definitely a new way to send them. And I call them my flat cards. Definitely a different way to get a greeting card. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe on my Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter all under Sew Very Easy. I'll put some links in the description for you. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.